I almost lost my son over a phone call that lasted 4 minutes. He told me he was moving across the country for a job I didn't approve of, and I said something I still regret to this day. What happened next taught me a lesson that every parent of adult children needs to hear, and it started with a single verse of scripture I had read 100 times but never actually understood. For years, I thought being a good parent meant staying involved in every decision my children made, even after they grew up and left the house. I thought my opinion still carried the same weight it did when they were teenagers living under my roof. I was wrong, and that mistake cost me months of silence from someone I love more than anything in this world. If you're a parent of grown children, or you will be someday, stay with me. What I'm about to share isn't just my story. It's a pattern I've seen repeated in countless families, and it's quietly destroying relationships between parents and their adult sons and daughters. But Teresa way back, and it starts with understanding the mistakes we don't even realize we're making. Let's start with the first mistake, and it's the one that almost cost me my relationship with my son. Trying to control decisions that are no longer ours to control. When our children turn 18, something shifts, whether we're ready for it or not. They become the authors of their own story. But so many of us keep trying to hold the pen. We tell ourselves it's because we know better. We've lived longer, we've made mistakes, and we want to spare them the pain we went through. That instinct comes from love, Therese, no question about that. But here's the hard truth. Unsolicited control, even when it's well-intentioned, feels like a lack of trust to the person receiving it. When my son told me about the move, instead of asking questions and listening, I launched into a list of reasons why it was a bad idea. I wasn't trying to hurt him. I was trying to protect him. But what he heard was that I didn't believe in his judgment, and that stung far more than any risk of the job itself. Now let's talk about the second mistake, one that's incredibly common and incredibly damaging. Comparing our children to their siblings or to other people's kids. Maybe it sounds like this. Your brother already has 2 kids and a house by your age. Or maybe it's more subtle, like mentioning a friend's daughter who just got promoted, right after your own child shared something they're struggling with. Comparison might feel like harmless conversation to us, but to our children, it feels like a scoreboard they never agreed to play on. It communicates that love and approval are conditional on meeting a certain standard, and that message can linger for decades. I've talked to adults in their 40s who still carry the sting of being compared to a cousin at a family dinner 20 years ago. Here's where it gets even more personal. The third mistake is withholding approval until our children measure up to what we envision for them. We had dreams for our kids before they were even born. Maybe we imagined a certain career, a certain kind of spouse, a certain lifestyle. When reality doesn't match that picture, many of us respond with subtle disappointment instead of open acceptance. That disappointment doesn't need to be loud to be devastating. A long pause on the phone. A change in tone. A comment like, "Well, I suppose that could work out." These small signals tell our children that our love has conditions attached, even if we would never admit that out loud. And once children sense conditional love, they start to pull away to protect themselves. Let's move to the fourth mistake now, and this one is incredibly common among parents in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. Guilt tripping about visits and phone calls. You might be wondering why this makes the list, since staying connected matters. But there's a difference between expressing a desire for connection and weaponizing guilt to force it. Saying, "I never hear from you anymore," in a tone dripping with hurt, doesn't inspire more connection. It inspires avoidance. Adult children who feel guilted into calling often end up dreading the conversation before it even starts. What should feel like a warm connection turns into an obligation, and obligations rarely feel good to either side. Here's the critical part of this pattern. Guilt might get you a phone call this week, but it slowly poisons the desire behind future calls. Real connection can't be built on obligation. It has to be built on genuine warmth, curiosity, and respect for the life your child is actually living, not the life you wish they were living. Now for the fifth mistake, which might be the most corrosive of all. Bringing up old grievances again and again. Maybe it's a decision your child made years ago that you disagreed with. Maybe it's an argument from a holiday dinner a decade ago that still gets referenced. Whatever it is, dragging the past into present conversations keeps wounds open that could have healed long ago. Think about how this feels from your child's perspective. They've grown, they've changed, they've learned from their mistakes just like you did at their age. But every time an old grievance resurfaces, it tells them that growth doesn't count in your eyes, that they're forever defined by their worst moments instead of their progress. But wait, Therese, more, because the sixth mistake often hides behind generosity. Attaching conditions to financial help or gifts. Maybe it's help with a down payment that comes with strings about how the house should be decorated. Maybe it's a loan that comes with ongoing commentary about how it should be repaid or used. When help comes with control attached, it stops feeling like love and starts feeling like leverage. This is the critical part many parents miss. Financial generosity should be an act of trust, not a tool of influence. If you find yourself bringing up money to steer decisions in other areas of your child's life, that's a sign the gift has quietly become a chain. And chains, no matter how well-intentioned, damage relationships over time. The seventh mistake, and one of the hardest to admit, is refusing to apologize or acknowledge when we're wrong. Many parents from earlier generations were raised to believe that admitting fault to your children undermines your authority. But authority isn't what preserves a relationship with grown children. Respect and humility are what preserve it. When I finally called my son after that difficult phone call, I didn't lead with more advice. I led with an apology. I told him I was wrong to dismiss his decision, and that I trusted him to build the life he wanted. That single admission did more for our relationship than years of well-meaning advice ever could. Here's where the scripture comes in, the one that changed everything for me. It's the story of the prodigal son in Luke chapter 15. For years I focused on the son who left, thinking the story was about wandering and returning. But the verse that changed me was about the father, who ran to meet his son while he was still far off, before a single apology was spoken. The father didn't wait for the son to prove himself. He didn't lecture him about the mistakes he'd made. He ran toward him with open arms and celebrated his return, choices and all. That image completely reshaped how I saw my role as a parent to my grown children. My job wasn't to approve every decision. My job was to run toward them, no matter which road they had chosen. So let's bring this all together. If you recognize even one or two of these mistakes in yourself, please hear this. It doesn't mean you're a bad parent. It means you're human, and it means there's still time to change the pattern. Start by asking questions instead of giving opinions. Start by celebrating growth instead of cataloging mistakes. Start by loving without conditions, the way that father in the story did. Our grown children don't need us to approve of every choice they make. They need us to trust the people we raise them to become. When we choose connection over control, and grace over guilt, something remarkable happens. The relationship doesn't just survive, it deepens in ways we never imagined possible when they were still children under our roof. My son and I talk every week now, and he's thriving in that job I once doubted. I don't always agree with every decision he makes, and I probably never will. But I've learned that my role isn't to steer his life anymore. It's to run toward him, exactly as he is, exactly like that father in the story I finally understood.